Thinking about leaving your soul-sucking 9 to 5 job, one of the biggest struggles I see people, especially as women, face is the idea of having that safety net, that enticing perks and benefits, and listening to that head trash of what will people think if I leave. I totally get it, and I've been where you are. That's why I created a free guide to help you if you're thinking about putting in that notice. It's called Unlocking Your Exit Plan. Discover 5 things you need to do before leaving your 9 to 5. This guide is filled with worksheets and steps so you will have hand holding along the way. You can download your copy in the link in the show notes, and again, it's totally free. Now back to today's episode. You're listening to the Hello C.S. Dorsey podcast, episode number 6. I had the pleasure of interviewing the author of Pinpoints of Light, Escaping the Abyss of Abuse, April T Giauque. And let me say, I was so thrilled to interview her on today's podcast. April T Giauque is the mother of 9 children, is a published author, empowered speaker, writing coach, and ghostwriter. She empowers women to move from trauma to truth and darkness to light by helping them uncover the heart of their story and share it boldly through writing and speaking. She also helps victims become victors through the key role that supporters are in their lives. She speaks nationally, helping supporters to narrow their gap of fear that limits them from helping and empowers them to understand their role in helping victims to become victors. Without further ado, here's April. Tired of staring at blank pages and don't know what to do? Or you completed your manuscript and now what? My name is C.S. Dorsey of HelloCSDorsey.com, and I coach writers and authors with the writing and self-publishing process. I wrote my book in 3 months. Yes, 3 months. It took dedication, discipline, and time management. After 3 months of writing and 3 months of editing, I submitted my book to tons of literary agents who said no or just didn't say anything at all. So I went to my best friend Google. My goal is to help, teach, and motivate writers to take that leap to become a self-published author. It will be a dream come true. Please introduce yourself and tell everyone about you.
Okay. Well, my name is April T Giauque, and I'm a mom of 9. I have kids with special needs, autism, and some kids who are deaf, and then kids that are all in between. I'm a writer, and I've written my book, Pinpoints of Light, which is my memoir, our story about how we left an abusive marriage, and we, meaning me and my first 5 children. I am a full-time teacher currently and do my writing and ghostwriting kind of, as part-time, but it feels like more full-time because that's so much fun to do. So, and we really enjoy going and speaking with groups. And what I like to do, depending on the group I'm speaking with, sometimes I'm speaking to teachers, sometimes I'm speaking to parents, and sometimes I'm speaking in an advocacy role with anything that's dealing with domestic violence. And for the most part, I focus in on a group that is kind of the silent majority. And they are the friends, coworkers, and family members of somebody who's being abused. For the most part, they want to try and help. They want to try and do something. But they really just feel stuck. There isn't like a class or a course for them to take to know how they can best help. And so I'm like, you know what? I can help you on that. And just from my situation and my experience, I know how valuable they were in helping us to leave. So that's a little bit about myself.
All right. So I like to do random questions. What was your favorite toy growing up?
My favorite toy growing up was the record player. I know. Record player. I could put on any of those records, and we would do story after story after story. And we had a little playroom, and I would just fall into the story and act it all out and absorb everything about it. It was just incredible. And in that playtime, it really allowed me to have a great imagination, to think about now, today, of course, I can put all these words to it with imagination, creation, creative writing. Back then, I was just in play. So
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I remember my favorite toy, and it's so funny that I'm actually doing the career that I love so much with that toy, and it was a cash register. Love cash register and money, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I work at a credit union right now. So yeah, record player. Wow, I had one too, and yeah, it was like way past my time. I was born in the 80s, but I had one too. And I'm like, whatever happened to that? So
great
funny.
fun.
Okay, so let's talk about your book. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to let you know. And it was certain parts of your book that I was completely teary-eyed because it kind of reminded me where me and my mom was in a particular point, in a particular place in our lives. And I don't want to give out too much information of the book. I want people to go buy the book and go get it and listen to it. But it was just one part where it was a scene where he had a gun,
Yeah.
and everyone was pretty much in the house, and he was pointing the gun to you, the kids, and everything. And I had a complete flash of when my dad got so upset with my mom, and they were arguing back and forth, and he had a hanger, and he was like, "I'll kill you or I'll choke you with this hanger." And I was just like running out the house, like we was in a hotel at the time, running out saying, "Call police, call police." So that scene kind of like took me, and I was just got like so teary eyed. So could you talk a little bit about that particular scene and what that felt like?
Well, it was the lead up to all of that piece was really, really interesting. And this will probably sound strange, but while everything was happening, I was still feeling very calm, like somehow we were going to make it through. I didn't have a sense of loss, like, oh no. And that sounds terrible because all of these awful things were happening, but I felt somehow we were still protected. And I did have a question raised to me once of like, why didn't you run? Why didn't you call 911? Why weren't you screaming? Why all those things? And honestly, all I can tell you is that I felt the spirit just to say to me, just stay calm. And so I did. And it was kind of like he was fishing for a trigger, fishing for me to take a bait, to take.
Right.
And so, it started off with some strangling, and then with the gun, and then with the knife, and all of these things. And I just had that feeling of just keep calm. And those were the things that were going through my mind. It was just a minute to a minute. I didn't feel a sense of complete loss or out of control. I did at a different point, but at that particular point, I knew if I just did as the spirit prompted, somehow, I mean, it was in the hands of someone else, and I was just like, here we go, and I will follow it. And I'm really glad that I did.
Yes.
That type of news story, if you know what I mean. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow. I want to tell you that you are an amazing woman. You are an amazing woman. And to go through all of that and still keep your faith in God. And people don't realize how important it is to have that relationship, that connection with the Lord. You cannot do it by yourself. I'm sorry. You can try and be strong, you can try and be Miss Mighty, but you have to have the Holy Ghost and the presence of the Lord in your back pocket, in your corner, on your side to go through that. And You are an awesome woman. I just want to let you know, how did you do it with 3 kids? It was three of your boys, right? That was diagnosed with autism.
Yeah, my 3 boys with autism and my 2 daughters. So there were the 5 of us. Honestly, so like I took my marriage vows and the covenant that I made there very seriously because I felt like a covenant with the Lord. And so I thought that the things we were going through were the trials in marriage, the ups and downs, because we would have these cycles where he would repent, get better, stop using drugs or pornography, and
Right.
4 or 5, maybe even 6 months of like, it looks like we've turned the corner. And then I'd find myself pregnant, and then the downward spiral would happen, the stress and all of that. So, but each time we would kind of rise up out of it, just like a cycle. And on the places when we would rise, it was truly like a hook of hope. This hope for him to, okay, now he's going to go back to the way we were the years, and I could feel that he was definitely trying. I'll kind of back up. Well, I'll jump over here for a minute and then I'll come back to this.
Okay.
So child abusers in 2 ways. Abusers are either hunters or they are caged animals.
Right.
And a hunter is somebody who grooms, who hunts down their prey, who tries to capture, who tries to lure them in, who wears the camouflage, right? They do everything to get their target, to get their prey. Somebody that's a caged animal does not know, are you there to help them, to hurt them, to help them, to hurt them, to help, and this panic and this trigger is happening, but the result is the same. They're going to strike out, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. The end result is basically abuse. So why I say that is, in our cycles, as we would go up again, he would start to trust me again, thinking, okay, she's here to help me, here to help me, here to help me. Now, he was dealing with severe mental illness that was not medicated and treated. And when you have real people in his mind that he could see outside of his mind, like stand right next to me, and he would be having conversations with them while I'm standing right there. They were so real and tangible, just like A Beautiful Mind. If you've ever seen the movie, it is just like that. So as he was fighting and dealing with that, we would have these cycles, and they would be pretty good. His voices, his mind friends, is what I call them in the book, would be quiet, or they would be, quote, on his side. Like, whatever he was thinking and doing, they would support that.
Yeah.
And somehow, somewhere, the trigger and the panic and the anxiety would start, and then they would start to feed his thoughts, which is really strange to think of a brain with 2 other mind friends in there feeding the same brain with crazy thoughts. It's
No, I've seen it. Yeah.
They would feed to him. Are you sure you could trust her? Are you sure? I don't know. And they would just start to, quote, undermine him and our trust, and then we would go down in another cycle again. So in the covenant that I made in my marriage, thinking, okay, these are the ups, these are the downs, these are the ups, these are the downs. And when we're going up, maybe he'll start to get better and feel better. Maybe we can get some medications. Maybe we could, really find good help with the doctors. And that's the trick, because when they're feeling good and staying up, why do I need help? We're and then once they fall past that piece and go back down, they're too sick, or that medicine's going to poison you. Look, she's trying to get you. Look, she's trying to manipulate you. And then you really can't do anything.
Yeah. Wow. So what was the process like writing this book? I mean, of course you didn't have to do any research because you lived the life. So it's kind of like, okay, we're just going to type. But what was that process like, getting the book together and basically putting everything together to formulate this book now that's Pinpoints of Life, Escaping the Abyss of Abuse?
So for me, the writing process had three major chunks. I had always written in journals and was able to put a lot of what I felt, what I thought in those journals. So I took pieces from that, and then I did what I call, how do I say this in a good way? I'll just say cleaning out the closet. We'll just say that.
Mm-hmm.
So emotionally, I had to take everything that was in my quote closet and throw it all in the center of the room, so to speak. I had to have every single thing there. Now, I didn't have to organize it. I didn't have to clean it up. I didn't have to throw anything away. I just needed it all there.
Right.
So once I put it all in one gigantic pile, and this is what I help to teach with my, like when I'm teaching and coaching my authors, the writers that I help. Once I got to that point, they're turned into kind of this third area where I started to, toss away, clean up, and basically I built an outfit.
Mm-hmm.
I built the structure of quote an outfit, complete with, I'm air quoting here, shoes, a scarf, the right slacks, the right blouse, the right blazer, like I built an entire quote outfit, which then became the book. And the outfit, all those pieces, the quote scarf, boots, slacks, all that, those stories that were in that big pile. I had to say, you know what? I could write a story that said, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened.
Right.
I will kill off my reader.
Yeah.
So I took those pieces of the structure, knowing that there were some in-depth pieces that will definitely be in the book, and then there were some that were even darker that I did not put in the book. And because I felt that I needed at the end and towards the end to give everybody a lift and a rise and true hope that you can make it out.
Yes.
So that's kind of the structure of how I went about it.
Okay. So wow, I didn't think of it as a thing. We really broke it down like as a complete outfit. I'm gonna have to use that. You know that I'm gonna use that, right?
Yeah. Tips. Yeah.
Oh goodness, it's so funny. So what is it that you want to let people know that are listening right now? Like what is your mission, your overall message that you want to let others out there know that's going through the same thing or possibly at the edge of kind of leaving the situation but keep getting pulled back? What is it that you want to let them know?
Okay, two main things. There is hope out there that you really can get out. You have to make the plan, build yourself the network, but there is true, absolute hope that you can do this. The second is to open up and have the real conversations about domestic violence.
Right.
Using the statistics, using the things that we have within our own community to really shine the light on it, because this is one of those, it's the most preventable death that happens in the world. 87,000 women are murdered every year, and almost 87% of that happens within their own home. Wow. So it is the most preventable death. It's just, it doesn't need to be. Then there's other statistics like 1 in 4 women are in an abusive situation, 1 in 3 worldwide. We have the 87,000 who are murdered every year. There are $9.7 billion are lost by companies every year because of lost time at work. They're at the hospital, they're in court, they are late for work because their partner hid the keys from them. That's an actual statistic. Can you believe it? It's just
wow.
And the one statistic people kind of nod like, oh yeah, that's okay, yeah. And they usually start to say, that's over there. Yeah, that's down the street. That still doesn't touch me. 1 in 4, maybe. But then when I tell them this statistic, the room usually just falls silent, which is every mass shooting that has happened in the United States of America since they've had to keep track of it was caused the underlying, the main, we'd say the common denominator is domestic violence. Not mental health, it's not mental illness, it's domestic violence. They were either in it, experiencing it as a youth growing up, perpetrators of it. So hang on a minute. That just shifts everything for just a minute.
Yeah.
Because when those things happen, as tragic as they are, suddenly people look up and think, well, wait a minute. We thought it was mental illness. Now, personally, I think anyone that does that has some mental illness struggles, but they don't have the label, they don't have the diagnosis, so they can't put that in the statistics.
Yeah.
But they can do for this, which is, unfortunately, which is domestic violence. And so once we have that open conversation and we start to say, the war that's happening on all of this is happening within our own homes, therefore we need to strengthen each individual family. It doesn't need to be legislated from, from DC. This has to start within our own home, within our neighborhoods, and to find the health and strength that way. That's how society's changed, is when you heal the families, then the next generation doesn't perpetrate. The next generation doesn't perpetrate. Then it just starts to heal itself.
Right.
A lot of work, though, meaning we really have to make the commitment to say, this is what a family is, and this is how, as a unit, we can do this. It's not an thing. It's not, if we start going into our selfish ways, it'll never happen. We are put in families from the sweet Lord. That's how we get here, right?
Yes.
That's how it all happens. And so we have to heal this from the family. And those are the two things that I hope this book comes about. And I wanted to share one thing.
Go ahead.
That I have a friend who took one of my courses about wanting to become a supporter, because she had a coworker who was in an abusive situation. The coworker and her had built some trust together, and she was just always there, nice and steady for her. And finally, that woman, she'd been suffering for over 30 years, decided that that's it, she's done. So the day she made the phone call to her friend, said, I'm out. Come get me. I'm done. She went over there, and on her nightstand was my book. And she said, after reading this, I had the courage. And she said, that's my friend's book.
Oh my goodness.
And, I don't know those things are going to happen. Someone else does. That's where the Lord comes into all of that. So when I talk about writing this book, it was not meant for me. I know the story. It's meant for anyone else out there that needs the help, that needs the strength to know that there's absolute hope through your networks, through making your plan, that you can get out and stay out. You have time to heal. You have time to thrive. You have time to enjoy this beautiful life.
Yes, I completely agree. And you will know when it's time, when the Lord start opening up the doors. So like in your book, like everything just completely like opened up for you, and it was just like boom, 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 one after another. And when the Lord do things, and when it's his time to work or to act, he makes it easy for you. It won't be, it won't be hard. And sometimes we're like, it's really hard. No, it's maybe hard here, but you have to see when the door is being opened. It's like, I gotta hurry up and walk, run through, not walk through, just run on through. I'm sorry. I can talk about the Lord and church all day long, but it's about you now. I will go on a serious tangent. Like, yeah, I have to stop sometimes.
Stop it. When you feel it and you're moved, you gotta say it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, what's next for April? What's next for you?
Exciting news. My book is now in the hands of a screenwriter. I know.
Gosh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes, this is definitely a God thing. And this amazing woman, Catherine, she approached me and said, you know what? I think this is a project that I want to do. I've been looking for something and I feel like this is it. And I was like, okay. And so we've been talking back and forth. We just signed a contract and the writing has started.
Oh my
She said to me, so what's your dream? What do you want? Oh, listen, look, all the kids, they're starting to come in.
It's okay.
Let's see. One of my deaf ones, so yeah. She says, Mom, can I have some cereal? I'm like, sure.
Oh, she's cereal girl. I love my cereal. I love my cereal. I have to have once I have my cereal, I feel like everything is okay.
She'll have a little bowl of cereal. So back to the screenwriting. So this was something incredible. And she said, well, what is your dream? Like, what do you see? What's your vision of this? I'm like, Ron Howard is going to direct this for sure. Hands down. I know he will. And she was like, okay, let's make that happen. She didn't once say, well, that's kind of like a big reach. No, she was like, okay. Now in a few of the movies that she's written, Ron Howard's brother, Clint Howard, been in and has requested to be in one of her movies. And so I'm like, that is really? She says, yes, he has requested that. So maybe I can make a request for this. And I'm like, yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
No, it's not like I just randomly picked Ron Howard.
Yeah.
Truly, you read the book. There's a whole chapter about A Beautiful Mind in the book, so I won't spoil it.
Yes.
But the power of what happened during that movie that I talk about in my book, I know through this movie, Pinpoints of Light, he will be able to visually capture the mental illness side. He will visually be able to display something for the audience to know the depth of what this is. It's not just a manipulation or like a narcissistic relationship. This was something that went off the deep end and just spiraled down. And when I used the word abyss, I meant that. I had no feeling of a bottom. I had no feeling. It was just ongoing, like the fall from Gandalf, right? It just never stopped. It just kept going and going and going. And finally, when we first saw that, like metaphorically, that first pinpoint of light, that first point of hope in all this blackness, darkness that I had, I just reached and thought, that's the direction I need to go. And then another little light happened, and another, and another, and another. Like you had alluded to before, the step-by-step things just started to come about. Now, I still had to act, like you said. I still had to walk through that door. I still had to swim through the abyss. Whatever metaphor you want to use, I still had to take the action 100% on faith to know that the end result was going to be the right thing.
Right.
No control, surrender it all, and just go. And so once I saw that first pinpoint of light, I was like, this is how we start to get out. So that's what's on the big thing.
Oh my goodness. I'm so excited for you.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, when I told my family, they were like, wait, what? My brother was like, okay, so let me just refresh. like he couldn't believe it. I think he was just like, she said what she said. She said that word, right? She really said that? Like, yeah, it's true. It's really happening.
Oh my goodness. That
So,
is so awesome. Well, now I can say, hey, I read this book. It's now moving. And guess what? I know the author. Finally.
yeah, it's amazing. We're doing currently a 10 for 10,000 campaign where if just 10 people buy the book and then share it with just 10 other people, and those 10 people buy a book and share it with just 10 people. We all know at least 10 people.
Right.
So starting, really methodically, and if we just share 10 by 10 by 10, we'll get those 10,000 book sales, and
Yes.
that will help in, a really good way to make good proposals and good pitches towards these next steps. Again, the movie is just like the book, to give people absolute hope that you can get out, and to open up the hard conversations so that society really takes a look at this, and we look at our neighbor to neighbor and within our own communities to know how can we strengthen families.
Yes.
I feel that's what's been impressed on my heart, and it's a God thing, and I'll roll with it.
Yes.
I don't have a timeline. We don't know anything like that because we're just in the writing stages, but when you speak it out loud.
Yes. I know. I know. Trust me. I know about that. That is so amazing. That's amazing. So I know that you have a promotional offer that you would like to let our listeners know about it. So I'm going to have you go ahead and explain it.
Okay. Well, we have a few things going on. Well, like I said before, the 10 for 10,000 campaign, I'm able to offer a free book where you just pay for shipping and handling, also free audiobook, and I can send links or have links connected to you so that those can be sent out. We also offer the supporters toolkit, which is that concept of really getting the family members, friends, and coworkers who know someone that's in abuse the true skills, empowered with skills to know how they can help somebody that is stuck, and do it in a way that the person who's in abuse, the victim, has full control, because they live in a place of no control. So the worst thing a supporter can do is to try to manipulate and say, "Oh, you gotta go now." Nope.
Yeah.
You're not being a supporter in that you've just broken the trust, which I teach very specifically in the supporters toolkit. We also have opportunities for women who, once they are out, so many of them want to write their stories, share their stories, speak on the stage, anything like that. And so we do what we can to help them in those avenues, and really coaching them to know how to best structure their story, because their voice has been silenced for a long time, and their voice is just as important as anyone else's, and it needs to be shared. So we developed a program in which to do that with, and we start them off with just a quick phone call and see what would be a good fit. And some people need, just a few hours of coaching, and some people do a few weeks. It just depends on their needs, and that's what we have going on.
That is so awesome. So where can people find you?
My website is April Tribe Giauque. That's GIAUQUE.com. April Tribe Giauque. Same thing for Facebook, and same thing for Twitter and Instagram, April Giauque. Any of those places. My email is a little easier. It's april@apriltribe.com. Tribe is my middle name. It's actually my maiden name, and I just moved it to my middle name when I got married.
Okay.
But for a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! Like, you picked Tribe." I'm like, "Well, I must have picked it in heaven, because that's actually my maiden name."
Well, I'm so happy to have you on today. I'm like, I was listening to the book, and I'm like, finished it. Like, I was like, I gotta finish listening to this book, and I'm like listening to it in between like me helping my coworkers and breaks and lunch and everything. And I'm like, I have to finish. But thank you so much for coming on our this podcast, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Like, I'm like so excited for you, and when you said that, I was like, ah! I'm like, I know the writer, and I'm like, yay!
I know it's yeah. Here we go. So we're just gonna exercise faith and go for it. And anyone listening that feels like, the best way to help that out is through the sales of our book.
Yes.
Because the more people that can know about it, the more that word just kind of spreads. And then the excitement for the movie, the excitement for, putting trailers together. And my daughter was so cute. She's like, let's find the actress who's going to play you. And so we start looking at things. And she's like, how about this one? And she's so funny. She's great. She was like looking at all their work that they've done prior to. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, write that down. I'm like, oh, sorry. Okay, I'm right. Yes, Miss Agent, we'll do this.
She's doing the casting already, huh?
And then she's like, well, you pick the director. And I'm like, okay. All right. Down and let's do this.
Oh my goodness. That's
fun.
awesome.
It's fun to dream and to set a vision.
Yes.
To really see things come about. So
yes.
It can be done. So there you go.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember to go to hellocsdorsey.com and sign up to receive the latest episodes, writing tips, and more. Until next time, keep on writing. Take care.